Here are 50 MW2 rank play tips that can help you get more SR this season. Number 1 is going to be choose a role by sticking with an AR and holding power positions, or learning how to run a sub and slay, or learn to just simply stay on objective and throw trophies for your team. Can really benefit you in the rank play experience and help you learn the game a little faster instead of jumping all over the place trying to figure out what's going on within the game, playing all different types of roles and switching it up. Number 2 is have proper settings. You don't want to be the guy that's out there on 20 cents trying to play cracked with the wrong aim assist setting on, with a bunch of weird settings on and stuff like that. Just make sure you have good settings. There's nothing specific you have to run, but I would look at what pro players are running or what the top players are running and use that as a starting point at least. Number 3 is going to be practice your aim. Now with aim assist, it's not too hard to aim these days, but I think practicing your aim and your ability to snap on the proper settings can go a long ways into making big plays in rank play and clutching up when you need to. Number 4 is going to be practice your movement. Now you don't need to be moving like Shotzi all the time, but it's definitely good to be able to move around the map efficiently, especially if you need to dive behind cover or flank quickly, and just have basic good movement around the map so you're not getting stuck in windows when you're trying to jump through or out of a window, and just the basic things like that. Know good spots to mantle, when not to mantle, just basic movement practices. Number 5 is learn good nade spots. You don't need to know all of them or any crazy ones, just learn some basic nade spots, especially in the earlier ranks. You can easily get some free kills, especially in a game mode like Search and Destroy, where one kill, one first blood can go a long ways. So learning some nade spots, just basic ones, can go a long ways to earning more SR and getting more wins. At number 6, we have learn jump spots. There's a lot of easy ones you can do that can actually help you clutch up big time, and the lower ranks really don't watch for these jump spots. Some of them, like one on Mercado, is really good to flank top 10. That's one you can catch a lot of lower rank people lacking in and make some big plays and big hill breaks for your teammates. So learn a few jump spots and go a long ways as well. Number 7 is really important. You want to make sure you learn spawns the best you can. This is going to take some time, and it's definitely one of the more advanced things on the list in a way, but also something that's just critical, especially in hardpoint and even control. Just knowing where players are spawning and the timing of when to slay and when to push spawns and when to take spawns and all that stuff. So learning spawns should definitely always be a priority when you're learning MW2 rank play and trying to grind up the ranks. Number 8 is a pretty simple one. Use head glitches. Make sure you're using head glitches in power positions, especially when you have an AR. There is a headshot multiplier, so you are at a disadvantage in that sense, but you can also snake, and head glitches have just always been super insane. So make sure you are using head glitches and cover and not just standing out in the open like a bot. At number 9, we have use dead silence. You just want to make sure you use your dead silence whenever you can. Hopefully you don't get caught with it out, because sometimes right when you pop it's when someone comes around the corner, but try to make sure you do utilize it well, because it can really benefit the team in giving you some good clutch potential whenever you do pop dead silence. Since everyone's so loud in this game, it's a huge advantage, so learn how to use that properly. Number 10 is going to be take routes. Don't just follow your team always. Don't just run the usual routes. Don't run straight to point. Try to find a way to find a hole in your opponent's setup and take a different route, find a pick, get an opening kill, and just try to learn another route instead of just slamming into the hill over and over again, or whatever game mode it is. Just try to find alternate paths you can take that can give you an advantage. Number 11 is rotate early. Ideally between 20 and 30 seconds if you do have a good setup on the current hardpoint. At 20 to even up to 30 seconds, you can start to rotate to secure those new spawns, and this can go a long ways towards chaining hills in hardpoint and really getting a huge lead over your opponent. Number 12, we have win big gunfights. This goes kind of back to the rotating early part. If you do rotate early or rotate at all, you need to win your big 101s for the spawn point, because that is going to set you up for the new hill and the initial time, which can be the difference between winning and losing a game. So make sure you try to focus on winning those big gunfights that are usually like 1v1s at the spawn point of the new hardpoints. And even other game modes obviously have big gunfights that you need to win that can kind of swing and win or lose around. So make sure you focus on winning those big gunfights, because they can really make the difference between winning and losing a game. Number 13, we have be a trophy system player. A lot of people wonder about dead silence because it's so good and fun to use, but a trophy system player is always greatly appreciated and needed if you don't want to be getting stunned and naded off of objectives and routes every single time you're trying to just run around or hold a position. trophy systems are super beneficial, so make sure you run a trophy if you need to. Number 14 is going to be throw tacticals and lethals. This can help break the opponent's trophy systems after you throw so many, and also just give you a huge advantage, whether it's getting damage with a grenade or stunning somebody, which can either help your teammate or yourself as you're getting ready to make an entry or push an area. The stuns can also give you information, as well as the grenades if you do get a hit marker when you throw it in an area, and then you'll know there's an enemy in that general vicinity. Number 15, we have hit cruise missiles off of walls. This is something I'm not too good at yet, but I have seen pro players do it. Because trophy systems currently block the cruise missile, if you are able to hit it off of a wall nearby, even if they have a trophy down, you can still get kills with it. It's a little more advanced and difficult than it may seem, but it's definitely a good little tip to know so that all of your cruise missiles don't just go to waste and get blocked by a trophy system. At number 16, we have play your life. If you gain an advantageous position, like let's say you're playing hotel control and you push up into spa, that's going to spawn the opponents who are trying to defend B all the way out to the chandelier area of the map. So by you playing your life and staying alive back there, you are causing the enemies every time your teammates or yourself gets a kill to spawn so far away. It's going to be a lot easier to capture that point. So remember that if you do get into good position, try to play your life, try to stay alive for your team, because once you get into that good position, your life is more valuable than getting kills at times. As long as you can trust your teammates to get some kills, you always need to be focusing on staying alive in good positions. Number 17 is a simple setting you can change. It's going to be use invert move behavior. This makes your diving a lot faster, and you can just simply tap your crouch button to dive instantly instead of having to hold it. Just a quick one that can make your movement a little better and faster and help you avoid getting picked off when you need to dive across the middle of the map very quickly and things like that. Number 18, we have maximize your FPS. This is a pretty simple one. I'm not going to talk about it very long, but the more FPS you have, the more you have a slight competitive advantage when it comes to like input lag and things like that, and the game will just be a smoother experience. Hopefully you don't have any stuttering, so make sure your game is performing well. Number 19, we have one that low ranks just really don't like to do for some reason, and that is jump shot around corners. Make sure you have a good button layout setup. I recommend bumper jumper tactical if you don't have paddles or you're on a default controller. Try out bumper jumper tactical or learn to play claw and really learn to comfortably jump shot around corners and pre-aim. It'll help you win a lot more gunfights when you are able to camera people by jump shotting around corners. It's pretty much the meta movement in this game, so you need to know how to do it to win more gunfights and climb the ranks. Number 20 is going to be play slower. Sometimes, especially if you're in the blender, you keep going 3 or 4 down on your team in hardpoint or something, you're starting to lose the lead. Instead of just running and trying to get kills, slow it down. Just try to find 1 kill, maybe 2 to start it off. Just slow it down, give up some points to try to find those entry kills, because sometimes it's easy in this game to just keep running and you don't really gain any progress from that. Number 21 is going to be play confident. You still want to play confident even if you do have to play slower and you're getting put in the blender. Just play confident, take confident gunfights, and that's going to come with some of the other tips I've talked about, like practicing your movement, knowing jump spots, knowing spawns. All of these things will lead to more confidence as you play, but make sure you play confident and don't just sit in a corner and hide, because the better players will just simply outgun you and jump shot you, and there's not much you can do. Number 22 is learn timings on maps. This again comes with experience in playing, kind of like spawns, and definitely has to do with spawns. But learning timings on the maps can really help you get into that flow, especially when it comes to slaying or knowing which power position or which cross to look at. Learning timings is a huge thing. It can give you a huge advantage because the lower ranks aren't going to know how. They're going to be like, how do you know where I'm spawning? How are you spawn trapping me like this? It's simply going to be because you know the spawns, and more importantly, you know the timings. So you know when the spawns flip, you know when to turn around, and you know when to expect the enemies to be on your screen. It's going to make for a lot easier kills. So learn timings on maps is tip number 22. Tip number 23 is get bomb down in S&D. By getting the bomb down in S&D on offense, it's going to shift the entire dynamic of the round and put the offense in an advantageous position, especially if you have teammates in a good setup to actually hold it. So really prioritize getting the bomb down in S&D. It really puts a lot of pressure on the defense because then they have to retake and push the bomb and defuse it. So definitely try to get bomb down in S&D. Tip 24 is trade for teammates. So make sure you are trading teammates. If you see a teammate about to jump into a hill or out of a window, try your best, as long as they're not making a terrible play, try to trade them if they get killed. It can really help in game modes, especially like search and destroy, because you don't want to be giving the enemies free picks. Try to help your team out and even bait them a little bit if you need to in rank play. Sometimes it's necessary if you're playing with randoms. Just bait them, get their trade, and move on. Number 25 is going to be bait for teammates. This is only usually if you are playing with a friend or you have actual good teammates you can trust to get your trade. Don't be afraid to bait for them, especially when it comes to breaking hard points. Just jump in the hill if you see your teammates right behind you and try to get the kill yourself, of course, but don't be afraid to just jump in there. And if you die, so what? Hopefully they get your trade and you still end up winning the trades in hill and get the time. Same thing goes for search and destroy. If you just need to dive into a bomb site and so that your teammate can get the trade and get the opening kill to get the bomb down, then sometimes you might need to sacrifice yourself just for the betterment of the team. Again, this is only if you have good teammates you can trust. Otherwise, it is not worth it. Number 26 is going to be anchor spawns. This is extremely important if you do want to get a lot of time on hardpoint. You need to be the one that can actually hold down spawns, because a lot of people in this game just like to run and run and run and try to get kills. Be the guy that knows where the spawn is that you need and just hold it. Learn power positions that you can hold from and anchor those spawns so that you guys always have the better spawn point for the current hill, and then make sure you're rotating when needed. Tip number 27 is going to be get hill time. Make sure you guys are getting the hill time. There's been many games, especially at the lower ranks, where people don't completely understand the objective and how the game should be played, and they might be out getting kills or not getting kills, and they just don't go to the hardpoint hill and actually get the time. I've had games where even I'm getting 3 or 4 kills, getting the whole team dead, and I think I'm doing good. My teammates for some reason aren't on the hill. So make sure somebody is in hill time and getting enough of it. Tip number 28 is don't peek when you're low HP. If you're losing a gunfight and you don't get the kill, or even if you get the kill, just don't even peek if you're low HP, especially if you're in a good position already. It's not worth taking a gunfight unless you absolutely have to if you're low. Just try to stay down and wait for your health to regain, and then you can re-challenge. Tip number 29 is learn to snake. It's like the meta movement in this game. So if you don't know how to snake at least a little bit, it's going to put you at a bit of a disadvantage, I would say, especially on certain areas of the map where snaking is just so overpowered. So try to learn to snake at least a little bit. It'll really help you out. Number 30 is learn callouts. If you're not calling out with randoms in game yourself, at least be able to know the callouts that the other ones are saying, so you actually know where to look. This is a really kind of beginner tip, learning callouts, but it's definitely something you want to know how to do if you do want to climb the ranks. Tip number 31 is have a plan in each search and destroy round. This can go a long ways in converting more rounds into wins. If you do have a plan going into it, ideally one that's kind of based off of what the opponents like to do, so you can take advantage of that, but just have a general plan of where you're going to go, where you're going to hold, instead of just choosing a random corner and sitting there. Even though that can work out sometimes, try to have a plan each round, and that'll also help you learn search and destroy if you create a plan and then see if it works or not, especially game to game. It'll help you learn your opponent's tendencies, and then you can change your plan as you go into the next round. Tip number 32 is work together in Kontrol. Kontrol is like a chess match, and you really need to work together in Kontrol to get wins. You can't just be going one at a time in Kontrol, or you're going to run out of lives, you're going to run out of time, and more importantly, you're not going to be able to capture the points quick enough, because when you stack the point with more people, it captures a lot faster. So work with your teammates in Kontrol, even if they're randoms. Try to play it together with them, and don't go off on your own too much unless you're trying to take a route and make a big play. Tip number 33 is going to be avoid going 4 down in Kontrol, especially on certain maps. If you are defending in specific and you go 4 down, then you're probably just going to lose a point if they stack it with 3 or 4 people, because you're most likely going to be spawning pretty far away depending on the map and the spawn points, and you're pretty much just going to completely give up a point or at least 2 ticks if you go 4 down in Kontrol. So if you see 2 or 3 of your teammates dying, try to prioritize staying alive over just trying to kill everybody, because it can go a long ways into winning more rounds, because if you go 4 down, you're pretty much screwed in Kontrol. Tip number 34 is stack the point in Kontrol. Again, these are all like Kontrol tips, these last couple. Stacking the point in Kontrol is super good, especially if you do get 3 or 4 kills. It puts a lot of pressure on the defense, because that objective is going to be going up very quickly, and they're pretty much forced to just run at you to contest, and if they don't, you're just going to capture it. So always stack the point with as many people as you can when you are up on kills at the moment. Tip number 35 is going to be learn wallbang spots. These can be really cheesy and really good, especially at the low ranks that don't really know how to play around these. And there's some really good ones in the game that you can learn to just wallbang opponents and get free kills with low risk to break into hills or get a pick on S&D and things like that. So just learn some wallbang spots, learn which walls you can shoot through with which weapon. It can go a long ways into getting, like I said, first bloods or opening entry kills and things like that. Tip number 36, I hate to say it, but use audio to your advantage. The fact of the matter is this game has very loud audio, especially if you do use loudness equalization on your Windows settings. Just make sure you are listening for audio cues in the game because it can make or break rounds in search and destroy especially. So make sure you use audio to your advantage. Tip number 37 is pick up on opponent tendencies. This goes especially for search and destroy, but all game modes, there's going to be certain players on the other team that have tendencies, whether it's like they want to flank constantly, or they really like to push this certain lane or building, or maybe they like to go top bet on hotel all the time. Make sure you pick up on that so that you can kind of counter them, and make sure you are watching the flank if they like to flank, or you're getting them out of top bed if they like to go hold top bed. So learn their tendencies and outplay them. Number 38 is a very simple one, but I just wanted to mention it. Make sure you do realize that it takes 5 seconds to plant the bomb and 7.5 to defuse it in search and destroy, and keep those time frames in mind when you're looking at the clock during rounds and you either need to plant or defuse. Keep those times in mind so you can make the appropriate play. Tip number 39 is stand on the bomb when time is low to increase your chance of clutching it in search and destroy if you are trying to retake a bomb site on defense and they have the bomb down. If you're in, let's say, a 1v1 and you stand on the bomb site, try to predict where they're going to check it from, and if you can get the kill right as they check it, sometimes if they peek just a second too early or even half a second, you can actually clutch the round because you're already on the bomb and you don't have to run back to it in order to defuse it. So stand on the bomb if you're in a really tense 1v1 clutch especially, and it can increase your chance of winning. Tip number 40 is mute toxic teammates. A lot of times they don't even have to be completely toxic. I just like to mute teammates if they're just talking too much or I'm losing focus. If I'm really trying to win, I'll just mute them if they're randoms because it's just a distraction. And if I mute them, I can just simply focus on the game and what's going on in the game, and makes it a lot easier for me. Tip number 41 is contest when needed. This is for specific situations where maybe the time is low on Kontrol, for instance, and you just really need to contest, or the game is really close in hardpoint and your teammates aren't with you yet. If you can just stay down in hill and contest so the other team's not getting points, then that can go a long ways in winning more rounds and getting help from your teammates. If you can just learn the right moments to contest and not go for a kill, just again, play your life like I gave a tip on earlier. Just contest, play your life, wait on teammates to come help you, and then you can challenge and hopefully win the game. Tip number 42 is play to win. Don't play for your stats. This again goes back to anchoring and making sure you're getting objective time and things like that. Make sure those duties are taken care of before you just go out and start slaying. Unless you really are just a slayer type, then feel free to go out and just slay, and most of the time your teammates will do the things like get the spawns and get the hill time. The spawns ones not so much, but the hill time, usually people like to gravitate towards the hill. So just in general, play to win. Don't care about your stats too much. Just try to focus on getting wins and focus on what you need to do to get the win, because that's how you're going to get more SR, is if you win. Tip number 43 is learn some proper setups. There's a million ways to set up properly in this game. Just learn how to get into good positions, especially if you get a good hold on a hard point or something like that, or even in search if you're holding a post plant setup. Just make sure you are in a good spot to hold where you're not going to get shot in the side, or you can get your teammates trade and things like that. Tip number 44 is map awareness. Now there are no red dots on this map, but you can also still tell where your teammates are, for instance, and which direction they are looking. And this again kind of ties in with the proper setups. It's going to help you have a proper setup when you can look at where your teammates are looking at and then adjust where you're going to watch based on that. So just have good map awareness in general and be looking at your radar pretty often. Tip number 45 is something I kind of touched on earlier, but that's going to be slow it down for retakes and breaking hills specifically. In hardpoint, it's easy if you're just running and getting slayed out. to go down pretty big and just feel like you can't get in that hard point, slow it down. Just find one kill to start it out, and you can make comebacks and get retakes and break hills if you do slow it down and just find that first kill. Just always keep that in mind. You're never down and out as long as you can get one kill. Tip 46 is learn lines of sight and crosses. This is especially for your AR players or anyone just trying to watch across for information, even in search. Just learn the best areas of the map to watch, where you can watch across to see where the enemies are going, or maybe you can hold them in these crosses for a spawn trap and things like that. Number 47, I kind of spoiled this one already because I went into it too quick, but this is hold cuts and crosses to spawn trap, just like 46 was. Yeah, I kind of already said that one, so that's number 47. Spawn trap people using the cuts and crosses to just hold them in. Tip number 48 is play as often as possible. This ranked system is somewhat skill-based, but also just comes down to you playing more games. The more games you play, the more games you win, the higher rank you will go. So play as often as you can to climb the ranks faster. Tip 49 is going to be find a duo. Having just a duo can really help go a long ways, and having some extra teamwork and chemistry even in rank play with 2 other randoms. So if you can find a duo that you can queue up with, whether it's a friend or someone you find in rank play that's pretty good, try to get you a duo that can help you climb the ranks faster and win more games as well. My final tip, number 50, is a little bit of a bonus. Use some Kontrol Freaks to improve your aim. You can use code Skridley at kontrolfreak.com to get 10% off. I highly recommend the Galaxies. They really help your aim, in my opinion. I know not everybody likes or uses them, not even pros, but I think they're absolutely game changing, and I can't personally play without them. So get some Kontrol Freak Galaxies, try them out. Let me know what you think of them in the comments. But that's been 50 tips that I could think of to help you get more SR this rank play season. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.